Hello, everyone. Welcome to Some Kind of Podcast. This is a podcast where we entertain you by discussing what entertains us. I'm Tim. I'll be your host this week, and I'm joined by, of course, always Cody
Hello.
and Christian.
Heyo.
So, how are you guys doing this week? What you guys been getting into watching or playing or anything like that?
Pretty much the same for me. Just a lot of Final Fantasy, Critical Role. I did start Marvel Avengers. I haven't gotten far. I started it.
Like the
Last
game.
time we talked,
Yeah,
you
the
got
game.
like 5 minutes in.
Yeah, I've gotten further than that.
Still the same 5 minutes?
No. I'm in the desert, I guess, looking for the helicarrier.
Okay, so you're a couple of missions in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. So that meant nothing to me. I could have been you could have been like, yeah, I'm a little bit further in and been only like 15 minutes in. No difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean spoilers, but I guess you're probably about a fourth of the way into the campaign. It's not that long. It's only about a 10-hour long campaign, if that. There's like a helicarrier that like went missing, and you got to go track it down in the middle of the desert. That's kind of it. I think. Did they tell you who you're looking for yet? That's supposed to be near the helicarrier.
I mean, I played the beta.
Oh, okay. I didn't play the beta. Did the beta take place in this mission?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to spoil it for you.
The beta kind of covered a lot.
Oh, okay.
Sounds
cool.
like
Yeah,
the
you're
beta
about to hit
covered
Bruce.
like 60% of the game.
There's been additions since then.
The beta covered 60% of the game.
Sounds like it if it's really short.
I don't know. Never played it. Never had any desire to play it.
It's pretty. It like I don't hate the game. I hate that like it took the Destiny route and there's like I don't know, it feels like a not complete game.
I hate when games decide to do like the pretty route but don't have any kind of context to it. I feel like that's such a cop out. Like, it's really pretty though.
Yeah. I don't know. It like just so far, my impression so far, not to get too far into this, is that like it started off like it could have been along the lines of like a Spider-Man game. Like it started setting it up like it had the potential to be like a really cool long story, but it sounds like it's just gonna kind of fizzle off.
So, I mean, I don't want to destroy the game and just prohibit you from even wanting to finish it.
I'll finish it. I'll finish it regardless if it's short. I mean,
But, I mean, it kind of fizzles out.
yeah.
Like, there's not really that much substance. Like, I mean, you run into each character. Each character kind of has its own, like, introductory mission of, like, hey, you found so-and-so. Now you're going to do this cool battle sequence. And then you do a big battle sequence at the end when everyone assembles, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Way to bury the game, Christian.
Yeah, I know.
Destroyed.
What about you,
Speaking
Tim?
of that, what do you... sorry, go ahead.
I said, what about you?
Yeah, Christian, what about you?
So this past week, I haven't done a ton. I did play for a few, so I have a story behind this. I did start playing Cozy Grove. I started playing that for about a few days. As we talked on last week's episode, it's kind of like a somewhat along the lines of Animal Crossing. It's pretty much beat for beat like the exact same game. It's just, less focused on capitalism and racking up your your coins, and
I
it's
feel like
supposed.
There's still a lot of capitalism in that game.
So, I mean, there is, but I mean, like Animal Crossing, you can't progress in the story unless you
That's
rack
fair.
up enough coins
That's
to
fair.
progress in the story. So, in this, it doesn't do that. And what I really liked about it is, at this point in time, like I'm kind of too busy to really play more than like 2 hours of a game per day anyway. And that's kind of about what it encouraged you to play. It was about an hour to two each day. And then you'd hit a wall where like, hey, you finished all the missions, come back tomorrow. And so for the first couple of days, that was fine. And then once you get a few days in, you start hitting these missions that are like, hey, it's probably going to take you a few days to actually complete this task. And that's where the game lost me, because that destroyed the whole initial like thing that drew me in, which was like, hey, I can come in, do a couple of missions, and then bounce and then come back tomorrow. But like, I don't like the completionist part of me does not like starting a mission and then being not able to finish it for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna get into like the capitalism aspect of it, because I'm like, I guess day 7 in the game.
Can you
Okay.
play Cozy Grove?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's zero multiplayer to it.
all you said was you were playing Final Fantasy 14. And you mentioned Cozy Grove.
I forgot about Cozy Grove because it is unfortunately a forgettable game.
Oh,
Um, I've hit several walls in the game where it's like, oh, you want to progress? Well, you need 10,000 coins to upgrade the shop or your tent in order to do this one thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
what I was hoping this didn't have. But then it was like, it gave me a quest that was like, it was like a two-parter. And it was like, okay, I need you to get this cup from like a random villager by helping them. And it could take a few days. And it did. It took like two days. And I got the cup and he was like, cool, thanks. Now, if you could get these things for me. And I was like, okay. I didn't know how to get one of the items, so I Googled it. And it was like, oh yeah, you can't get that unless you upgrade the shop. And then there was nowhere in the game that it told you you had to do that. And it was like, well, I just upgraded my tent, so I have no money left. So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's if the game had stayed what it was from like day 1 through like day 5, I would have kept playing it
Yeah.
by far. But like once you hit around like the 5, 6, 7 day mark, it starts introducing a little bit more of those kind of like walls where like you have to do things for a certain amount of days before you can even complete a very basic mission that should really only be like a 10-15 minute mission. So that kind of lost me there. I really don't know if I'll pick it up. The other side of this is I know I asked Cody, who did time travel back when Animal Crossing was big.
After I beat it legitimately.
And so we were talking about it, and there's trophies on Cozy Grove that require you to play in 4 different seasons, which of course, I was like, I'm even if I like this game and stayed liking, I would not be playing it like, a year from now.
yeah.
So I figured out a way to go into the PlayStation settings and change the date just to go and pop those, because the rest of the trophies on the list, I was like, if I had to play this every day, an hour a day, I'm going to get the rest. But the seasons one, I was like, I need to cross that off. And I screwed everything up. I fast travel forward in time, got the 3 trophies or whatever, came back to present day, and then I just couldn't do anything. Like it was stuck. Like after I fast forward, it said I was on day like 12, 13 or something like that. And then when it came back, I played, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and then loaded up the game again. And it said I was on the exact same day, but I was on like day 8. And it was like, it wouldn't go turn into nighttime. And I don't know, the whole game was messed up. So I Googled it, which I should have done before. And they were like, hey guys, we're an independent, indie game developer. We're not, setting this game up to time travel. So just so you know, if you do it, it's probably going to corrupt your save. And there's nothing we can do about it. And I was like, good.
Well done, bud. Well done.
Yep. So at this point, if I want to continue Cozy Grove, which I don't think I do,
Gotta start over.
Yep, I've got to start over.
So are you gonna finish it or no?
I don't think there's really a finishing it. It's kind of like an Animal Crossing. Like there's a point
Well,
where, like,
get the platinum or whatever.
Oh yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I'll be able to keep myself invested in it long enough to actually make that happen.
Yeah.
I wanted to, I really did, but there's also like a crazy amount of trophies. Like I think the average like trophy list is like somewhere between like 20 to 40 trophies. This game has like an indie, game, $15 game on PSN has 64 trophies on the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Intense.
I'm pretty sure everything I had like 50, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But then on the watching side of things, continuing to watch Office just kind of in the background while Ashley and I are doing schoolwork and stuff. And then I reopened Netflix because I realized I haven't opened up it in like a long time. And so I started watching some other things just kind of in the background while I was doing other things. So I watched Thunder Force, which is like that new like superhero spoof movie on there. It's really bad. And then I started watching a documentary called I think it's actually just called This Is a Robbery, the World's Largest Art Heist.
Oh.
So that was really cool. I think it's like a 4 or 5 parter. It's about a robbery that took place back in 1990, I think, where like a bunch of these paintings were stolen from this like famous museum in Boston, and altogether they're collectively worth like $200 million. And to this date, they still haven't been found, and the people who stole the art still haven't been caught.
Oh
So it was
wow!
really interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know about it.
You finish it?
Yeah, no, yeah, I highly recommend it. I don't know why, but Netflix has like really got the formula down. If you're into watching documentaries, which I am, they really do it well.
Interesting. I might have to check that one out. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I've just been watching Critical Role and playing Final Fantasy 14. I feel like that's all I've ever had time to do now. Maybe because an episode of Critical Role was somewhere between 3 and 5 hours, depending on.
what they're doing.
I'm actually finding it like I enjoy watching it because obviously watching it is more of a visually pleasing kind of thing. But I'm actually trying to more enjoy it as a podcast because as a podcast, while I can't see anything, I'm able to digest more because I can listen to it while I'm driving or while I'm doing stuff at work and things of that nature instead of like because I went from I watched like 10 episodes in like a month I think to now I've watched / listened to like 13 in like the last 10 days because it's just easier for me to listen to it
Yeah.
as opposed to watching it.
I still think watching is the best experience, but
Well, no,
I feel
like definitely watching is the best experience, and there have been some points where like I've been listening and been like, all right, I have to stop because what they're doing, I kind of need to see. But like, there's certain things where it's like, it doesn't bother me as much. Like I listened to like when Grog had his first fight, I listened to it, and it was just as fine, and as when I watched the rematch because there isn't really a whole lot you have to see to that.
the against the half orc.
Yeah, Kern.
Yeah. When he bites his lip off.
Yeah, he bites his lip off. Dude, they just lost the spoilers. They just like it's not really spoilers. This is 6 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
They just lost the magic carpet,
Yeah.
or well, they didn't really lose it. It lost its ability to fly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. If there's anybody that listens Critical Role, I think I'm getting my roommate into it too because I keep watching it when he's there. So I think he's starting to get into it himself.
It's a great show
yeah,
to get into.
I've been watching that and playing Critical Role. Or I've been late.
Final Fantasy.
I've been playing Final Fantasy and watching Critical Role, which is great because I know off air or whatever you mentioned, Cody, that it's kind of the best thing to do because you don't have to pay attention to Final Fantasy as much as that you can easily listen to Critical Role or watch it on like another screen while playing Final Fantasy. And I have done that a little bit just to like kind of do both. And I kind of want to set up my own campaign or one shot sometime soon. I want to give DMing a try. This is what I'm trying to get at here. So maybe I'll try to, I don't know about a full campaign or anything because I don't know if I'm ready for that or not yet, but I kind of have the broad general outline for a one shot. So we'll see what happens with that. It could just be a pipe dream. I don't really know.
No, man, I think it'd be awesome to do.
Yeah. I'm no Matt Mercer, but who is?
Nobody
other
is
than Matt Mercer.
Yeah. I mean, DMing is a lot of responsibility, but I mean, I think it could be just as fun, if not more fun, than playing. Because essentially, you are playing. You're playing.
I'm playing everything else.
Everything else.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, if I wanted to, I mean, I know like I could create an NPC that's just in your party, and technically, I'm playing with you guys. So.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's way more on you than you need. I think. Than any DM needs.
I'm not going to do that initially. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving forward, talking about things that we've also been watching. We've been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, weekly spoiler alert. We're going to go into what the Falcon segment. So, full spoilers. We will be talking about all things Falcon and the Winter Soldier up through and up until and through episode 5 called The Truth. So if you don't want anything potentially spoiled for you, if you haven't watched yet, this is your warning to pause it, watch it, and then come back and listen to us talk about it. First things first, like I mentioned, the episode's called The Truth, but honestly, it should probably be called 30 minutes of montage scenes because I feel like that's what half the episode was. I know that there was two elongated ones. One was Sam and Bucky having bro time on a boat, and the other one was Sam playing catch with himself. But we'll talk about that here in a second once we go through the episode. Episode starts off with Bucky and Sam chasing down John Walker, Mr. Captain America himself, shortly after murdering that dude. And they kind of confront him and say, hey, you should just kind of turn yourself in. He says, nah, champ, I'm not about that life. And then they get into a big old fight because John Walker, even though up at this moment you still haven't seen him take the super soldier serum, it's pretty much implied that he did, and he is indeed a super soldier now.
Yeah.
So
I think the last
episode... thoughts on this, because this is a pretty intense scene, and it all happens before the opening title is even shown.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it was confirmed, I guess, when he was fighting in the last episode when he kicks the dude, the super soldier, like across a room and down some stairs, and the guy looks at him like, "Oh crap," and he's like, "Yeah."
I think at one point they do ask like, "What did you do?"
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, because I have like a weird, I can do all kinds of blood and gore, but when it comes to bones, that's where I get squeamish.
Yeah. So is it implied that he broke his arm?
Oh, they broke the shiza out of his arm.
Okay, because I was
split
watching
open
on my phone and it was a little bit dark, so I couldn't necessarily see what they did. But I heard that crack.
Yeah,
I mean?
no, they broke his arm and bone came out of the costume, it split the costume
I didn't see
open.
that part because, like I said, it happened if they showed it, it was really quick.
No,
I know my phone doesn't have the best brightness to it, so
they destroyed his arm.
Okay. I mean, I know it's in a cast later, so obviously it is implied that he did break his arm at some point. I just didn't see how it was broken.
The one thing that really bothered me about that fight is that based off the Winter Soldier's track record and all the stuff he's done solo mission wise, this guy was getting his butt handled to him by a guy who's just recently taken a serum.
Well, think about it this way. I initially I had the same thought you did, but I sort of I caught myself. Bucky is from World War II, right? He's from the 1900s. And while yes, I mean he had some brainwashing done, I don't think they ran him through Hydra boot camp, and gave him kung fu training. So in his head he still only has that, early 1900s military
throwing haymakers.
Right. So I feel like he just relied on brute force and his guns when it came to everything that he did, whereas John Walker has had modern military training, and they do go through martial arts training and hand-to-hand combat and all that stuff. So technically he is more well trained than Bucky is. And then you give him the serum on top of it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what happens.
Another major plot point that happens during this, well, there's two technically. First one is that Sam loses his wings. John Walker rips off the Falcon's wings, and so he is now wingless. And successfully, after much trying, Sam and Bucky do wrestle the shield away from John Walker. And Sam takes it and lets his nephews play with it later on in the episode.
I feel like he didn't let them. I feel like he put it in the bag, and then they all went to bed, and the kids woke up and went in and took it out and were messing around with it. And then when
I get it, I was just being facetious.
Bucky saw him.
That's later
on. Oh crap!
That's later on. Shortly after that, we kind of the three people kind of Sam, Bucky, and John all kind of go their separate ways for a little bit. The first thing we see is Sam essentially taking the shield with him and almost sort of dropping the Falcon persona. It seemed to be. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the episode because I'm sure you guys are gonna have some theories about what happens at the end. Um, and then Bucky encounters Zemo, Baron Zemo. Is that his name? Yeah. At the I can't say this. Skolov.
God, now that you flubbed it, I can't say it.
Sokovia?
Sokovia?
Thank you. It's the Sokovia.
Oh,
He's at the Sokovia Monument, which is kind of where he alluded he might go to before. Bucky tracks him down there, and he hands him over to the Wakandans. I can't say the name of the group, but it's the women with the bald head. I can't say it. I tried. The Dora.
I don't know. I just call him the Queen's Guard.
Dora Milaje.
Dora
The
Milaje.
Dora
Yeah.
Milaje. There we go. Thank you. He hands him over to them, and they say you might want to chill from coming to Wakanda for a little bit, just because you kind of didn't help us a whole lot happen getting this guy back or whatever. I don't know. It was implied that he shouldn't go there for a while. And then John Walker goes back to Capitol Hill, where he is not dishonorably discharged, but not really honorably either. They just say, hey, you're not in the military anymore, and you're no longer Captain America, and you can't have any titles and all that stuff. And he gets mad and walks away, and they ask him for his shield. He's like, nah, champ. And then, because he doesn't have it, and walks outside and meets this Contessa lady who I don't know if we've seen her before.
She's new.
You have not.
Okay. She kind of gets introduced. I can't remember her exact name. She says she can be called Val, but she doesn't want to be called Val, but you can call her Val, but in your head, which is kind of weird. I think that's supposed to be humorous, but it was kind of like, all right, well, you're a little bit of a psycho. And she says she's going to get a hold of John to do some work, and then gives him a blank card. And that's kind of where that storyline ends for this episode, is she introduces herself and gives him a blank card. If this wasn't a Marvel movie, I would think that this person was just a crazy person that came up to John Walker, but I'm sure she has.
I'm pretty sure she has a higher purpose, but
You think she's from like Madripoor or whatever it is?
Madripoor or maybe Hydra.
Yeah.
So I did some research into her because I was curious. Her full name is Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Yeah, see, I
That was
all that.
That was the really big name, and then she said you can call me Val, but don't actually call me Val because I hate that. So apparently she is like a triple agent. At one point in time in the comics, she worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. At another point, she worked for Hydra, but she was ultimately always working for an alternate organization that was a rivaled Hydra called Leviathan.
Oh, okay.
And then apparently it's a Russian spy agency, is what Leviathan is. And I think Hydra, of course, is kind of insinuated in the MCU to at least have kind of started in Nazi Germany.
It does. Hydra started in World War II. In fact, that's what the first Avenger is about.
Yeah, it was Hitler's obsession with the paranormal.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so in an ideal world that where COVID didn't play effect on like Hollywood and when things came out, we were actually supposed to see her for the first time. She has an appearance scheduled for Black Widow, but since Black Widow got pushed back so much, and it's gonna come out, and I think it's July now on Disney Plus and theaters.
Yeah.
She was supposed to pop up in that first as our first kind of time seeing her, because of course Black Widow's backstory is all Russian, and she was trained in a place called the Red Room, which I guess Leviathan either owns or has like a strong like tie-in with, and so that's kind of where we were supposed to see her first, but it just didn't play out that way.
I think it'll still have the effect. It'll still have the impact.
Yeah, it's still not a bad introduction. I mean, obviously Disney okayed it because they left it be as it is.
Yeah.
Maybe they rewrote it slightly to give less information. Maybe that's why it's just a blank card. Maybe if we had seen Black Widow, the blank card would make more sense. I don't really know. Either way, I still think it works. So going on from there, Sam goes home and reconnects with Sarah, his sister. They start working on the boat. When Bucky shows up, Bucky and Sarah might have a little bit of romance going on. I don't know. It was sort of implied that Bucky was attempting to flirt with her, maybe, which Sam obviously wasn't a fan of. And that introduces us to our first montage of all of them trying to fix this boat, which I feel takes like up a third of the episode, of them montaging to fix this boat, and things of that general ilk. Going on from that, John Walker meets with Lamar, which is Battlestar's Lamar is Battlestar. He meets with his parents and tells them that he killed the person that killed their son, which obviously isn't true because Carly Morgenthau killed Battlestar, not that dude that he decapitated.
Yeah.
But he feeds them their lies and goes about his way. He's kind of just in his feels for most of the episode because he's been discharged and everything. So that's essentially where we kind of leave John for a little bit. Bucky and Sam become BFFs while fixing a boat. That's kind of all that happens. And then after that montage with Bucky and Sam and all that stuff, Sam gets his own montage where he's training and doing flips and trying to catch Captain America's shield because they put up bouncing pads or something on trees so they can learn. It was almost like when Bucky and Sam were doing it, was almost like they were playing catch with like a baseball with each other.
They were playing
like
frisbee.
Yeah, it was really kind of weird, but I guess kind of cool bonding moment. Where Sam's just trying to get in like incredible shape, I guess, to be able to wield the shield. And then Carly Morgenthau kind of gets some more followers and takes over the GNRC or GRC. I can't remember which one. I think it's the GRC. Yeah. Takes over the GRC vote for whatever they're trying to do that she's not a fan of. And that kind of sets up the final act of Falcon Winter Soldier. But before we go to the credits, one of the things that Bucky asked the Wakandan people for was this box that he gives to Sam. Sam opens it and the credits start. So, guys, what's in the box?
Well, so I guess I missed the implication that he wasn't supposed to go back to Wakanda.
No, they straight up say don't come back to Wakanda for a little bit. They told him to lie low.
Oh, well, I guess I heard the lie low, but I didn't know that pertained to Wakanda.
I'm pretty sure they say lie low from Wakanda for a while, but I don't remember.
I got the same interpretation. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but I got it as them kind of telling him to stay away for a little bit because tensions were high.
Oh, see, I guess either I heard it wrong or whatever. I guess in my head I took it as like lay low and, like be safe kind of thing, not a like don't come around these here parts.
I definitely took it as a hey, you might got a little bit of beef with us or some of the people in Wakanda right now, so why don't you just hang out and chill and I'll let you know when it's cool to come back.
Yeah,
that's what I got at least.
I guess the reason I didn't get that is because he was like, hey, I got a favor, and they just did it without question.
Well, I mean, he's done a lot for the Wakandans. I mean, he stayed over there for a long time. They call him the White Wolf, and they're obviously friendly.
Well, that's why I was like, I didn't catch the beef.
Well, he kind of burned some bridges by not handing over Bear and Zemo or not helping them either. Like, he actively fought against them to protect him at one point.
Did he? I think he fought Cap. I need to rewatch those episodes because honestly,
either way, he wasn't helping them.
Well, no.
Yeah, so during the big room fight where Zemo kind of slipped away, they came to collect him at that point, and so there was a big disorder. Kind of everyone was fighting each other
because they throw a spear and he catches it. He stops them.
Yeah,
does he not? I'm pretty sure he does.
I think he stops them from killing someone. I don't know. I need to rewatch them. I probably just saw it wrong.
Beef with the Wakandans. I think they're just like, hey man, we need a little bit of time because you burnt some bridges trying to protect this bastard that we're trying to get.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the only reason I didn't get that is because they just and this leads into what I think is in the box. I think there is a vibranium suit / wing combo for Sam in that box. And in my head, if they had any kind of beef, why would they give Bucky, anything vibranium outside of Wakanda to not only give to another person, but just in general, if they have any kind of
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they're like, we hate you now. I think they're just saying hey man, that was kind of jacked up what you did. How about you give us some space for a little bit?
Well, yeah. To that note, if we had beef, right, of any kind, and you were like, we need some space, I wouldn't be like, hey bro, I need you to drive me to work tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
Or can you
but if you
lend
know
me
how
your
to do it,
car?
you'd ask. You would still ask. I still
No,
would do it.
if you were like, give me space, I wouldn't be like, hey man, I need to borrow your car.
So
Well,
to be fair, I think that when they're talking about like the beef and like, hey, give us some space, I think they're talking about like the governmental, like overarching society of Wakanda. And then on a personal level, he's asking this person who's been a part of his life for a good portion of time now to, hey, can you do me this favor? And ask, I'm assuming,
yeah, like the people of
He had to
Wakanda
have
may
asked
not be
Cherie
cool
to
with
make
him.
something.
Like the people of Wakanda may not be digging him right now, but this other person doesn't seem to still have a problem with him. You
Yeah,
can hook him up.
I don't know.
Anyway, so you think it's a suit in there?
I think it is either a suit wing combo or just new wings for Sam.
Okay. What
And
about you?
it could be like the Captain America with wings, you know, like
Yeah.
since he seems to be adopting the mantle or at least accepting that the shield is his.
Christian, your thoughts?
yeah. So I mean, like, I know that you brought up kind of one of the things that it was kind of one montage after the next, and like we kind of talked about briefly before the podcast started up today, is that it did feel kind of like a finale episode, despite there being an actual finale episode after this, because it seemed to kind of bring everything a little bit to a close. But I think what they were trying to do, and the reason they focused so much on the shield and then throwing it around, I mean, like, one, him training up, of course, because he's never really used the shield before, but also just kind of what it symbolizes, and like what it represents to various people depending on
Yeah.
their background and their personal experience.
Well, okay. Not to interrupt you here, but I guess we could bring because you're kind of already kind of touching on it. There was a scene that I forgot to mention between Sam and Isaiah Bradley, the other Winter Soldier, where they talk about a lot of racial issues in America, which is probably a good thing.
Right.
And Isaiah Bradley brings up that they would never allow a black person to be Captain America, and I think he says no self-righteous black man would ever want to be Captain America, which I guess Sam kind of takes it as a like, well, I'm gonna show you wrong kind of thing.
Yeah, so after that scene, that's kind of where I was going next. I thought that where they were going with that, because in a previous episode, I think it was even Carly Morgenthau, the leader of the Flag Smashers, that said, hey, that like that shield does not represent what most people think it represents. If anything, it should be destroyed. So after that conversation, I was like, oh, maybe they're just gonna like straight up dismantle the shield and just say nobody should have it.
Even in the what happened on previously in the beginning of the episode, they play that specific scene where she said that if anything, that shield should be destroyed.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of maybe to put viewers in that mindset of like, hey, maybe that's where the plot's going. And I think that's kind of where Sam's headspace was at for at least a part of the episode, when he was kind of at the boat, just kind of, hanging out with his family, trying to put his mind, wrap his mind around kind of where to go and with the shield, what to do with the shield. And I think for a portion, he might have been considering either dismantling it or just allowing nobody to have it and like bury it somewhere. I think he might have even been considering giving it to Isaiah Bradley. That's kind of where initially I thought that scene was going.
I think
think
that's
that
what
was his
he was
intention.
there to do.
Yeah.
And then when he
Like,
said,
you're the last real true super soldier. This belongs with you. And he's clearly like, I don't even want that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's cool that, Sam's now kind of taking the mentality of, you know what, I'm going to make it become something different than what Isaiah believes that it is, which I think is cool.
Well, this whole season, I mean, show, I guess, has been very politically charged and relevant to things happening in the real world, with racism and inequality. And I feel like in some ways it was like, like Isaiah representing like an old way of thinking, and Sam representing like, I get that, but I want change.
Yeah.
And Isaiah's like, it'll never change, and Sam's like, I'll make it change, which is I think how a lot of people feel today.
I mean, he kind of touches on that when he's talking with his sister too, like he's like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna show you kind of thing.
Yeah, and the conversation with him and Bucky, and how, Bucky did confirm in the episode that he and Cap discussed that he knew Cap was gonna stay back in time.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they do mention that.
They do finally confirm that Bucky knew the whole time that Cap wasn't gonna come back, and that he was gonna give the shield to Sam. And he even says, like, we never considered, like, about like what it would mean to put this shield in the hands of a black man, and how could they know that. And he apologized for assuming that it would have been the same if he had handed it to any white guy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, I guess at the end of Endgame, Bucky is kind of like, go on, like, so it makes sense because he had to have known.
Like, I was always like, so did he know? And they finally confirmed that, so that was good.
That's good. I totally missed that part. Skip right on past that part.
It was their little heart-to-heart before they, like...
It's when they were, like, playing catch with the shield.
Yeah, and then right before he, like, left, and they were like, yeah, no, we're friends. I mean, not friends, we're partners. I mean, coworkers.
We're just two guys.
We're just two dudes.
Two guys and a shield.
Yeah, so...
I did think it was cool. The end credit scene,
Oh yeah. So I didn't see the end credit scene because I didn't realize there was one. But Christian, before we got on, told me that there was. So
yeah, I after I missed the one in WandaVision the first time, every single time I fast forward a little bit just to see if there is one. And so.
Go ahead, Christian, because I haven't seen it, so I don't know how to comment on this.
It was very brief. It was just hinting at and kind of showed like a quick little photo lapse period of John Walker, I guess, down in like a basement or something, kind of putting together a shield and an outfit to kind of go to battle. I'm assuming against Sam and Bucky. So
yeah, he was like forging a shield, but I'm assuming out of like iron or something.
It definitely wasn't
not vibranium. So it's not going to have the same effect, but I feel like it's more to him specifically. It's more about the symbol of it. He might even try and give that to the government and be like, "Here's your shield."
Maybe
it'd be interesting because I mean, like he's got the super serum on his side. I mean, the super strength and everything, but I mean, like if it's metal, it's going to break against vibranium. So
it's also not going to bounce and come back to him.
I mean, that shield can withstand Thor's hammer, so ain't no metal gonna.
Like, I'm pretty sure the vibranium is the reason the shield like bounces and comes back.
Yeah, I mean the vibranium
material.
Like every time it gets hit by something, it gets harder.
Yeah, so like if he tries to throw that shield, it's not gonna bounce back to him.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be interesting. The equivalent of someone just chucking a hunk of metal at somebody. Like it'll probably kill him, maybe, but it shouldn't come back to him. It's not a vibranium frisbee.
Well, I also agree with you, Cody, that I think it's like a Captain America suit with wings or something in it. Something to tie in the fact. I don't know about wings. I don't know.
Well, the fact that they got the whole Black Panther suit and a necklace, I feel like they could fit wings inside of a little box.
Yeah. True.
My main thing about him not having wings anymore was the fact that scene when he was in the hangar talking to his fellow military guy, and he was like, aren't you gonna take your wings with you? He's like, nah, you're gonna have them.
Yeah,
walks away from it.
Cool with it. Like it's almost like he wants to drop. I mean, that's also the point. It gets early in the episode where like he doesn't even know what he wants to do anymore. So, at first I was like, oh, is he finally gonna drop the moniker of the Falcon and just take up Captain America? But maybe he won't ever fully be Captain America. Maybe he'll just be Captain Falcon.
I have my theory on that. Because one, it kind of irked me that whole episode because like he was in that military base with the shield out.
Yeah.
And he left his wings, and again, I think the whole episode was him like accepting that the shield was his. Maybe not the moniker of Captain America, but the shield was given to him by Steve Rogers. And what's her face, Val, Countessa or whatever, brings up that the shield doesn't technically belong to the government.
Yeah, that is a good point. She does say that the shield
technically it's from Wakanda.
The US government.
It's from Wakanda, and it was
Wakanda and it was made for Steve. So technically, it's not the U.S. government's.
Yeah. So. Well, actually, no. Wakanda didn't. Well, maybe that. I don't know. The first shield was from Tony Stark.
Yeah, no, not Tony
Or
Stark.
Howard
Tony
Stark.
Stark's dad, Howard
Yeah,
Stark.
he got
the first.
vibranium and made the shield.
Yeah. There's vibranium in Wakanda.
Yeah.
But it was made for Steve.
Regardless, it doesn't belong to the government.
It was made by Howard Stark, not by the U.S. government,
Yeah.
and it was made for Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it is not the U.S. government's property.
Anyway, so
technically, Sam did give it up, so technically it kind of is U.S. property, but not really.
Yeah, not really. So I think he's going to take up the moniker of Nomad because
Sam or John Walker.
I mean, I could see either one, but Captain America in the comics, if I'm remembering correctly, from like the 4 that I've read, when he like is, I don't know what divorces the U.S. government, for whatever reason, he becomes Nomad. Like he drops the Captain America and becomes Nomad.
Okay.
And since Steve Rogers isn't in the picture anymore, I could see them making Sam Nomad. Because I feel like the moniker of Captain America has to come from, the government.
Yeah. Well, we still have another episode to find out, and I guess when we get there next week, we'll have time to talk about it then. But kind of moving on, I'm gonna ask you guys kind of about your favorite entertainment segment again. We did this last week where we all talk about some of our favorite moments in video games, TV shows, movies, and anime. So Christian, let's start with you, bud. What's some of your favorite moments in those categories?
Sure. Yeah. So last week, I chose God of War, Kratos versus Baldur for the video game kind of moment. Mm-hmm. And I leaned really hard into fights last week, so I tried to go a little bit away from that and shake it up a bit. I was also trying to think back to one of my favorite parts or my favorite moment in Ratchet and Clank franchise, since it's probably my all-time favorite franchise, or at least up there. And so I guess it's not necessarily a moment, but just kind of an aspect of the game. So in Ratchet and Clank, the series, if you've ever played any of them, the staple part of the game is just always having crazy weapons that do all sorts of crazy things. One spews fire, one spews, a bunch of smaller robots that'll again then run and blow things up. And so my all-time favorite weapon in any Ratchet and Clank game is this thing called Mr. Zurkon. Have you guys ever played it before? I can't remember.
Nope.
No.
Okay. So there's this little machine that you can it's listed as a weapon, but it comes up beside you as almost like a little mini turret thing that floats next to you, and it's called Mr. Zurkon, but it has all these crazy one-liners. And one of so I put one down here, and it has this really funny robotic voice as it says all this. So as you're going through battle, it's just spewing off these one-liners next to you, and so it was always kind of really comedic to me. So it says one of them was, "Killing stuff is so much fun. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Zurkon kills stuff all day long. Oh, doo-dah day." So yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean another example of this is the one of the I guess end game guns that keeps coming back is a gun called the Rhino, which is an abbreviated term for rip you a new one. So it's got all these really cool guns in it. And Mr. Zurkon's been there for it wasn't in the original game. I want to say Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, I think, is where it first popped up.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my kind of moment from that series that I really like about.
Well, hopefully it's in the new game.
Yeah. No, I really hope that it is. I feel like they kind of recycle at least 3 to 4 guns, and they kind of bring them back and kind of change them up a bit. But Mr. Zurkon's been the staple of the franchise for a while now. So. But yeah, and so for TV show / movie, since we've been rewatching The Office, I laugh hysterically at it each time. It's the intro to one of the episodes.
Cold open. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a cold open. I think it's in season 5. It is also my favorite.
Greatest cold open of all time.
Yep. Yeah. So it's Dwight decides to put everyone on edge by doing a fire test simulation thing.
Today,
and then
smoking is going to save lives.
It results in end up giving Stanley a heart attack. But the part that absolutely floors me every time is when Oscar like jumps up
Yeah.
into
The
the
cats.
ceiling and starts running away, and Angela grabs her cat and so yells, "Save Bandit!" Throws him up.
Take me with you. It's like there's not enough. You weigh too much. It's like I only weigh 89 pounds.
Say Bandit.
Oh. Yeah.
And like when like Oscar's feet come
Yeah.
through and he's just like dangling there.
It's the best opening of that show ever.
It's the best cold opening ever.
It's
100%. I remember when I first watched it, I was in tears.
yeah. My family, like, we legitimately go back and just watch the opening sometimes. Like, it's so good. Like, I think the only one for me that like touches that one is probably like I think it's when they're at like the Saber, like they're in Florida and Jim's awake at like 4 a.m. and so he stages the room to look like he was murdered.
That's a good one.
I think that's like my second favorite, but
my second favorite one is when Jim dresses like Dwight.
that's a good one. Or when what's his face? The dude from WandaVision and Ant-Man, the FBI agent, the Asian guy, Henry Wu
Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo. When he gets there and he's pretending to be
Asian Jim.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Christian. You started talking about
The Office.
Office.
Didn't mean to, yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah, and then my final pick. This one is another fight for anime. I'm gonna go ahead and do mine for My Hero Academia, my favorite anime. This one's actually from the first movie that came out a couple years back, Two Heroes. It's where All Might and Deku actually team up against the villain in the film called Wolfram. And so it's the only time on screen that you ever see them actually both utilize One for All at the same time.
Nice.
Probably ever will. So they do like a double Detroit smash on Wolfram. And so it's funny though, because it's like up until that point, and even till current day in the season 5 that we're on now, Deku still can't use One for All at like full capacity because it'll like completely destroy him. And so in the film, they go to this like high tech island where they're investing all this money in all this like new tech and everything that like enables you to like enhances your powers. And this one girl that Deku runs into created this gauntlet that's supposed to allow him to use his quirk at full capacity. And so of course like an anime staple here, it's a one-time use thing where you can only do it once. And of course he utilizes it in the end boss fight in the movie. But it's really cool. It's probably my top fights. I was trying to reflect on. It was choosing between this one and then Deku versus Muscular was also one of my other ones. But I chose this one just because it has All Might and Deku in it. So.
All right, Cody. What about you, bro?
Yeah. Let's see. For video game, look. At this point, if you didn't see it on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, like I don't know what to tell you. The game came out, like a year and a half ago?
This was going to happen before the game even came out.
Yeah, I did too. But it was one of those things where like I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. So like it didn't bother me too bad. But that's The Last of Us 2, Joel's death. And the reason that is one of my favorite moments, as messed up as that sounds, is that it's more because Naughty Dog took that risk.
Yeah.
Like it's my favorite moment solely because of the risk that the studio took in that moment. Like they knew that this was going to piss a lot of people off, and it did. But like it made the story super deep. And it gave you all kinds of reason to hate Abby. And then they like flip it on you when you play through the second half of the game as Abby, and you see why she hates Joel and all this other stuff. And it's like, it's just, it makes the game, it makes you feel so conflicted playing through the game, which is why I love Naughty Dog, because they do stuff like that. And Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that Joel died, but I like that the studio took that risk, and despite, like knowing that it was gonna anger people. So that was a good one.
Yeah, I really liked that scene, and it had the same impact on me. The one thing, the grievance I had against it, it came like just a couple years after the like iconic scene from Walking Dead that was almost like the exact
Yeah,
same situation, and I
the
was like,
the
they could have
Negan.
changed it a little bit.
Yeah, it was very Negan-esque.
Yeah.
I think truly though, what set it apart was the shotgun to the leg.
Oh yeah.
That was rough. Tim, you should really play these games. They're so good.
I played The Last of Us.
But not part 2.
Now I played part 2.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, if it goes on sale, I'll pick it up. But I don't want to drop $60 on something that I don't know if I'm gonna like or not.
You'll like it.
I know, but like, there's so many other. We're gonna talk about it, but there's so many other things I need to play.
That's why I said it.
Yeah.
So for my TV movie, I picked a scene from season 2 of The Mandalorian. It comes in, I guess it's chapter 14. I forget which episode it is in season 2.
It's
called The Tragedy.
episode 6 because there's 8 episodes in the season.
Okay. And it's the moment when Mando and I forget her name. The chick that he thought he killed.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, but sure.
The Asian lady.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but
okay.
Sniper, yeah.
Yeah, the sniper. I can't remember her name to save my
life. I know who
life.
you're talking about though.
They're like pinned down on that hill, getting swarmed by stormtroopers, and then you just hear the briefest moment of a jetpack, and then grenades fall and explode, and then just Boba Fett, being a badass, shows up in his armor looking hefty and just murders a bunch of stormtroopers, and then Kobe's a shot with his rocket on the jetpack and takes out both of the.
The best part about that scene is that they cut the music out, so you hear like him like everything.
Yeah,
it's
so good. And I'm a huge Boba Fett fan, and that was.
Are you? You didn't buy that one thing that one guy said you need to buy.
I'm not going to bring up names, but I wanted to just like in that moment. I've never wanted to reach across a counter and like pluck someone's eyes out more in my life.
To be fair, it was like a Lego Star Wars.
It was Disney Infinity.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Infinity.
Infinity.
And I was like, yes, Disney Plus. And like they had that big Star Wars thing, and it came with a Boba Fett figure, which I actually have.
Okay.
I don't have Disney Infinity. I got the little figure off like Amazon or whatever.
Anyway, Cody really wanted the figure, which he now has.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, I didn't buy the thing, and the dude told me I wasn't a real Fett fan, but not in like a joking way, in like a douchebag way.
Yeah, like I get he was trying to make a sell, but he did not approach it correctly.
No, like I instantly infuriated. So
anyway,
big Boba Fett fan. So like that moment hit home. Like it was cool when he showed up in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
In episode 1, when you see this back, you're like,
yeah. But when he showed up in the armor, when he left like the fighting, went to the ship before it blew up, got his armor, and then came like, oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
And so for anime, with Attack on Titan episode, I don't know how they do their seasons. It's really weird. Like it's like part 1 and 2 of certain seasons, but according to Funimation, it happened in season 3. It's episode 54. And it's like the beginning of the episode. It's like 5 minutes in, and it's when Levi absolutely shreds the giant, like, hairy Titan.
Beast Titan?
Yeah, the Beast Titan, thank you. Just like full on, like, Goku scream, just goes absolutely crazy and just destroys him.
Yeah, I love how this series kind of like portrays Levi as just like this chosen prodigy of a Titan Slayer. That,
And you
like
never
only he
see
could
it.
actually take down a Titan.
You never see it. You see him move quick like a couple times, but this is the first time that he went like nuts
Oh yeah,
and
it was
like
great.
defied gravity as he just diced the Beast Titan up. Like, oh, it was so good. And the fact that it's Matt Mercer, just
You say like, is he not voiced by Matt Mercer?
yeah. So it was even better.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
So for video game, I know Christian brought up God of War last week, but I'm doing it this week because it's my favorite franchise. So I'm also doing the 2018 version. And the 2018 version of God of War, you know, in the original series before this reboot, Kratos had his Blades of Chaos as his main weapon. He had other things, but it was mainly the Blades of Chaos that he used. But when the reboot happened, it was kind of like, okay, it's a new area, a new realm, new rules, and all that stuff. It was a different kind of gameplay. So everything was vastly different. The only thing was really the same from the original one was that you played as Kratos. So you use this Leviathan axe, which is more in line with the tool that you would use in like the Viking era or whatever. Then at one point, something happens to Atreus, and you have to go get him. And you
It's like
go to
the
like
end of the
this little
game,
scene
isn't
where
it?
you're, huh?
It's like towards the end, isn't it?
It's like in the middle-ish towards. It's like let's say the second, third, or second,
It's like the third
like
act.
the last third of the game. The
Yeah.
last third of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get on this boat and you start hearing stuff that happened in the other game, and then you go back to the starting area, and there's the Blades of Chaos and like a floorboard, and then you get to use them. And it's like the coolest moment in the whole entire game.
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
care what
'cause
people think.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, you ride up in the boat, and I'm pretty sure you talk to Athena.
Yeah, I think so. Or you hear her.
You hear, I think you might see her,
Yeah.
but either way, like she's supposed to be dead, so that's nuts. All the
Yeah.
gods of the Greek mythology are supposed to be dead.
Or supposed to be dead, yeah.
So the fact that she's there in any capacity, whether it's just in his head or whatever, is great. But like, what gets me the goosebumps every time is just hearing the deep Latin
Oh yeah.
God of War music start slowly building,
Destroying all that stuff, yeah.
and then you start fighting, and it's just like old school God of War. Just
Yeah.
so
The
good.
first time I used it, I was like, I'm using the Blades of Chaos. And then you just get to keep them as your weapon throughout the rest of the game.
I didn't use the axe anymore.
No.
Like,
I only use the axe if I had to like freeze something.
yeah, I was like, you gave me the best weapon of
Ever.
any of them. Why
Yeah.
would I not use the Blades of Chaos? They do everything.
And to be fair, like there's a slight little tease about the Blades of Chaos when you look at the bandages when
Yeah.
he wraps it up in the beginning of the game, but it's not mentioned at all ever at any point in this game up until this moment.
Yeah, it was a thing from his past that he didn't want to talk about or tell his, I
Nope.
guess at the time, wife.
He doesn't even
and-
mention that he still has them.
Yeah, he doesn't mention it to the kid. I mean,
It's
hell, he
never
doesn't.
talked about.
He doesn't even tell Atreus that they were gods until like the end of the game.
Yeah,
So, just
It-
such a good moment.
such a good moment. So for TV movie, I picked Rogue One. I like Rogue One. Rogue One was a good movie, but the moment I'm talking about is the moment you all know I'm about to talk about. At the end of the movie, after they blow up whatever planet that they were on to get those plans, I can't remember which one it was. They're trying to deliver the plans, and there's like a little space battle, and a little fight, and then they dock somewhere, and there's a hallway, and it's just pitch black. That's all you see at first, and then you hear the, and then the lightsaber hits, and it's just this illumination of Darth Vader, and then there's just 3 minutes of him just murdering everybody in front of him, and it's glorious. I lost my ever-loving mind in the theater when that happened, because you don't expect him to be in it at all.
No, the fact that
There's no notion of anything until this one. It's just a black hallway.
Yeah.
You don't even know what's happening, and then you just hear the breathing.
the fact that it literally leads directly into A New Hope was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I like Rogue One, and then that scene happened, and then I loved Rogue One.
Yeah, my pick was my original pick was that or the mirrored scene in Mandalorian when Luke shows up and has his own hallway
Yeah.
scene, because it's essentially the
Mm-hmm.
same scene just with Luke and droids.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one too. As he's fighting through all those droids,
Yeah,
get to the deck.
but I think
Yeah.
Vader's was way more.
Well, yeah, because I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
Vader. When the X-wing showed up, I was like, oh, it's gonna be Luke Skywalker.
yeah. I was like, it's either
It was a
Ahsoka or
shame
Luke.
because not that I didn't mind it, but they could have picked any other Jedi other than Luke
It should
Skywalker.
have been Cal Kestis, or Kestis, or
Yeah.
whatever. It should have been a Jedi Fallen Order. They could have bridged the gap.
Yeah. Especially because the actor does the actor of Kyle
Yeah,
Kestis.
he looks
Like,
just like him.
yeah, he's there. He's not a made up character. He's not just like some drawn person.
They
He's
could
a
have
real
done that,
person.
or they even could have thrown a Hail Mary and gone with Sam whatever. I can't say his last name, Whitmer or something like that. The guy that is Star Killer.
Oh yeah.
They could have made Star Killer canon.
That would have been cool. I'm not gonna lie, that would have been cool.
That'd have been so awesome.
Yeah. But I went with Luke, and that's fine. But anyway, Vader shows up at the end of Rogue One, and it's really cool. That's my favorite, one of my favorite movie scenes for this little thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And then for anime, I originally picked the character Death the Kid from Soul Eater, but Cody told me I had to pick a moment, and Death the Kid isn't a moment because he's a character. Because I can't pick a favorite Death the Kid moment.
We
'cause
can
Death
have
the Kid-
another segment that's favorite characters in
That's
entertainment.
too much. That's too much. Death the Kid is my favorite character. For those of you who never watched Soul Eater, Death the Kid is essentially Death reincarnated as a kid, as he's like a teenager. So they just call him Kid, but his full name is Death the Kid. But for a moment, since I had to pick one, right at the beginning, he's going to the Deathmeister school, which he doesn't even have to go to. He's really just going to because he's bored. And he shows up, and there's this kid named Black Star that picks a fight with him, and they get in this really cool epic battle. And Death the Kid can't die, and he almost kills Black Star, but then gets interrupted by his father, who is Death, actual Death.
Yeah, like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, like the Grim Reaper is
Yeah.
his dad, but he's just reincarnated of his dad. So go figure it out. It's a good show. But since I couldn't just pick Death the Kid because I love Death the Kid, I picked Death the Kid versus Black Star.
It's a good
Also,
moment.
shout out to Black Star who fights Mifune, who is the sword god, who I almost picked as one of my favorite fight scenes. But there's 3 of them, and I couldn't pick which one I like more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are my favorite things. So, cool. Well, moving forward with that, we're going to get into our main topic today, which we kind of hit on a little bit earlier, was backlog games. So, as I'm sure you guys have quite the backlog of games, would you happen to know how many backlog games you guys have?
Too many to count, honestly.
Yeah.
If I had to just venture a guess, I don't
Oh,
want
wait,
to
when I say
say
backlog games, I mean a game you bought with the full intention of playing, and then for whatever reason, never did,
right.
or never finished.
I'm definitely in double digits.
Yeah,
I think I'm only around like 7, 6, somewhere in there.
jealous.
Yeah, I'm really jealous.
But like my own personal philosophy on it is that like, hey, I'm not gonna buy this because I've got this.
Now, do
See,
games that you've started and intended to go back and finish count as well?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely in double digits.
like anything that you wanted to either bought with the intention of playing, like I want this game, I'm going to buy it, or started and then for whatever reason didn't finish.
Yeah, there's a
You're
lot.
not including games that like we started, hated, and then knew we were never gonna finish.
No,
No,
no.
I'm talking about like as we sit here right now, you still have a desire to finish this game, but for whatever reason, you've neither started nor finished it.
Best example for both of us is probably Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
Well, not for me.
Yeah.
That game.
For me and Christian.
But an example for me, and I know you're gonna hate me for this. The example for me is gonna be the Final Fantasy VII remake,
Yeah.
which I own, but I've never.
Well, at this point, you might as well just wait a month or two and get Integrate,
I am.
and
I am.
and then play that.
Because I never paid for Final Fantasy VII. I got it for free, but I mean, might as well just wait and get Integrate now, where it's the whole thing, compete with the new stuff and whatever they're gonna do going forward. But that's probably like one of my titles that's on there. Like another one that's on there. So I'm gonna ask you guys this question in a second. It's like, what are some of those games on there that like you were surprised are on your backlog list? So for me, like Final Fantasy VII Remake is on there. I've always wanted to play The Witcher 3, and I've started it a bunch of times. And there's kind of a funny story about how I almost got somebody fired for that.
Oh yeah, we can't actually tell that story, but
I'm not going to tell that story though. But yeah, there was that. So Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Witcher 3. I mean, I have like a whole bunch on Steam that I haven't even touched yet, including things like, you know, Alan Wake and Coder 2, because I've played Coder 1 and it was so awesome, but Coder 2 kind of like I want to play it, but it's not as good as Coder 1. But yeah, so like I'm definitely in the high double digits. I want to talk like I'm like 30. I probably have like 30 games. But yeah, those are some of like the surprises that are in my backlog category. What about you guys? Like, what are some games that you would like? I don't know why I never got around to playing this or finishing.
Well, some of them I know why I never got around to finishing, like Immortals Phoenix Rising, and unfortunately that's because of Assassin's Creed.
So, like, are you going to go finish it or not?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay.
I am going to. I just don't know when I'm going to. But it is in my list. Like, I fully intended to play it. Like, I bought the gold edition, like with all the DLC. Every intention of finishing that game. I just.
By the way, all three Assassins. Like, I say three because like I feel like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla are like almost their own three standalone kind of games. All of those three are in my backlog as well.
I almost considered Odyssey to be in my backlog, but I'll never finish it. But like, I mean, on Steam, I think I have like Dragon Age Inquisition, like some of those games that like I started and like I didn't immediately like it, so I put it on the back burner, and I've always intended to go back and play it, just never got around to it. Coder 2 is also one of those games that like I started. I hated how long it was taking to get
Coder
a lightsaber.
Being Knights of the Old Republic, by the way. In case people don't know what I'm talking with Coder.
I hated how long it was taking to get a lightsaber, so I stopped playing.
Apparently, you can get it really early because my roommate played through it and he had a lightsaber like halfway through the game.
I don't know.
Pretty much on par with where you're at in Coder 1.
Yeah. Let's see. I've started Mad Max like 3 times. I want to finish it, but every time I start it, something else comes out, and I just like I don't know. It wasn't enough to hold my attention to a different game.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the two most common things for me where things just kind of get pushed to the back burner and then just enter the backlog category, may or may not ever get to them, is one, it either comes out in like fall or just prime drop season where there's just a crap ton of stuff coming out, and I've got to pick like, this is what I'm going to play, and then I'll get to that at some point. Yeah. And then the other one is that if a game comes out that I really want to play, but I know it's going to be a huge time investment, I got to like prioritize different things, or I got to prioritize it like differently. And that's kind of like, so like I have Persona Strikers. I want to play it, but I know it's a huge time investment, and I don't want to like spread it out over like several months. Like I want to actually be able to play it. So like I'm like, okay, should I do it over a long weekend? Should I do it like this summer? Like it's just kind of planning it that way, at least in my head.
Yeah, I've got Persona 5 on my list.
That's longer than Strikers, bro.
It's one of those games like I know it's 150 hours, but it's also one of those games.
Royal is Persona 5 is like 110.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
I'm not splitting hairs.
It's a ridiculously long game.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately I've never played the series, anything in the series, so like I have nothing to get me excited about the game other than, hearing you guys talk about how great it
It
is.
takes. I mean, Christian can attest, and I did. It takes a second to get into it.
So like it's not one of those games like when Remake came out, I was probably playing something else or about to, and then that overshadowed everything for me.
I mean, that's what happened with me in Control. I mean, it
That's
was
another
like
one.
Control came out, and then shortly after that, Borderlands 3 came out, and then shortly after Borderlands 3, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out.
Oh yeah, Kingdom
and
Hearts
Control
3
just
took
kept
over.
getting pushed on back down the line.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think it's just because there's too many games that release around the same time, or like we don't time manage well enough? Like, why do you think we have such backlogs?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it's like if we just had time, I don't think
Yeah, so maybe we don't want time anymore.
like the log wouldn't be as long as it is. Like I have Watch Dogs, the new one, Legion.
Yeah, I haven't touched that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine's still in the cellophane. Like
Mine is.
Yeah.
Because you gave it to me, you shipped it to me, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna play this, but then I don't know what happened, and I just never got around to it.
Well, for me, it was like oversaturation of Ubisoft.
I haven't even played Ghost of Tsushima yet, and I really want to play that.
Oh God, it's so good. It's so good. If you could see Christian's like aneurysm right now.
I want
Probably
to
my
so
favorite
badly.
game of all time.
It looks
it's like number
such
3.
an amazing game. I don't know. I don't know why. I feel terrible, and this is one of the reasons why I want to talk about this. It's just like I bought all these games, and I want to play them, but it's like I don't even know if I have time to play them anymore. Like I have such a backlog of it's like, am I even gonna be able to play all these games? I don't know.
Well, and I go through phases. Like I go through like I get into like hardcore game mode where like I have to run through games. And so when it's actually interesting. Like before COVID, in the 2 years that I was living by myself in my apartment in Charlotte, like other than work, I was just pretty much chilling. Like unless you two were in town or whatever, like didn't really go do things. And like I would game quite a bit. Like I would just breeze through games, and I didn't really have a backlog. And then like I'll go through a phase where it'll be like I'll just play 14. I'll just play Final Fantasy 14, and I might get a backlog there. And not even just because like I'm really into 14. It's just one of those games that like
you can do other things while you're playing it.
Yeah, like I can run a dungeon or just stand there and like craft or something while I'm watching Netflix or something.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I almost need games to be pick up and play nowadays.
Yeah, and so I'll do that, and then I know that like it's either before or after that I get into a movie phase where like I'm just watching movies. Like I'll either go through my catalog of movies or I'll try and find new movies or whatever, things I haven't watched, which that's another episode, backlog movies.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that problem because
but yeah, hopefully I'm coming up on a point where like I can just start gaming again, because like when COVID happened, like all I played was Animal Crossing.
Dude, when COVID first happened, like when we were in quarantine, I had just come off 110 hours playing on Breath of the Wild, and I was like, okay, well I got free time, so then I put another 80 into Ni no Kuni 2, and then there was another like 75 hours I put into that game you just mentioned.
Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, yeah, thank you. Then for whatever reason, I was like, I don't want to play games anymore.
Well, Animal Crossing like took over everyone's lives. Like it came at like the oddly like the perfect time.
Yeah.
And it was a way for people to quote unquote visit each other without actually being there. And it was just like a perfect storm for that game. And there was like a lull. So you would think that while there was a lull in things coming out because of COVID and everything, I would go through my backlog, and I didn't. Like I've been meaning to play Shadow of War for a couple years now.
Really? Yeah.
I downloaded The Witcher, which is funny you brought up The Witcher. I downloaded The Witcher 3 like 4 times, turned it on, and was like, I'll play this another time.
Dude, I legitimately got into The Witcher at one point, and then I
I
don't know what
remember.
happened, and I just never picked it back up.
Yeah.
Like I was like into it. Like I was like, okay, I'm actually getting into the story. I actually can get the combat down because there's a little bit of a learning curve with the
Oh
combat.
yeah.
I actually figured it out. I was getting into the story. I progressed. I hit a milestone in the story. Like I hit a major plot point, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm really enjoying this. And then I never picked it up again, and I don't know why. Because I enjoyed it.
Here's an interesting question for both of you. That goes back to our first episode. Are either of you ever going to play Cyberpunk? Is this on your backlog list?
So mine, it was, and I did want to play the game. To me, if I have, even with all the updates that have come out thus far, even if I went back and played now, I don't think the game would live up to how I have it in my head. And so now I'm just kind of on the point of I'm just gonna wait till next gen. And when next gen version drops, then I'm gonna.
Well, that's what I
then I'll
mean.
play
Like,
it.
are you going to play the game in general ever?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
well, I mean, I say that it depends. Like as of right now, I do have
Okay.
all intentions to play it. So
I want to say yes, but I feel like it's a no.
Really?
Like I would still say it's on my backlog, and we'll get into this. I was about to ask this question too. I would still say it's in my backlog. I would still say it's probably in the very back, but it's on there. But I feel like it's coming close to that point where I'm like, I don't think I'm ever gonna play this game.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to my topic. When do you guys drop it off your backlog and just come to the realization that you're never gonna get to it?
yeah, so I have like on my phone, written down whatever. I'll have like a list, and so like when new games come out, and and I have to like put stuff into my backlog in addition to what's already there. I go through and kind of be like, all right, where does this fit in? Is this going to be the thing I play first? Is it going to be the thing I play third? Whatever. And so once it gets about like 5, 6 deep, there's like a cutoff point where I'm just like, if it fell below this line, I'm just never playing it. And so like if I have like more than like 5 games in my backlog, and I'm like, if you hit number 6, I'm just never playing you.
Um, Unfortunately, I'm a bit of a game hoarder. So
Well, I know that from your movies
yeah.
too. So
Well, I'm definitely I'm a movie collector. I'm a game
uh,
hoarder. There's
okay.
a difference.
What's the difference?
The
It sounds
difference
the same.
the difference is, so obviously you guys listening can't see it. You can kind of see my movies and
Yeah.
nonsense
Well, I
over
mean, I've
here.
seen when you have your big bookshelf when
Yeah,
you live on your own
so
too.
I don't buy just movies just to have movies. Like, I buy the movies that I enjoy. Like, if I own a movie, it's because I love that movie.
Mhm.
Or I hate that movie and I need like a good laugh.
Okay.
Like, I own Dragon Ball Evolution. I don't think I bought it. I'm pretty sure I got it at like a company picnic thing from Ye Old Movie House.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Um,
That's why I have Sex Drive.
yeah, we all have Sex Drive because of that. On DVD,
Yeah.
the unrated version.
I have the Blu-ray version.
Oh, I don't.
One year they upgraded to Blu-rays, and I was like, well, might as well.
Yeah. But no, with the exception of like maybe like 4 movies that I got, either from like company picnics or like somebody was just like, I don't want this anymore. Do you want it? Any movie I own, I like 100% have watched and have watched multiple times. Like, if I buy a movie, it goes in the DVD, Blu-ray player, whatever, and I watch it. Whereas games, I'm like, that looks like it could be fun, and I'll buy it either digitally or whatever, and it'll just collect dust.
Yeah.
And I've got games on that backlog that are well over 2 years old,
Yeah.
and that I still like want to play.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference between collecting and hoarding. It's like, if you really think about it, I know I'm never going to go play those games. The reality of it, I'll probably never play them.
Which ones?
I don't know. That's the problem. That's the difference. Like, there's so many. like I want to play Shadow of War so much,
Hmm.
but I feel like in my heart of hearts, I'll probably never do it.
Yeah, I mean, I say you say things like that, and but like, there's always that part of me, and then maybe it's the same thing with you. Is that like like for instance, like Cyberpunk 2077. I say yes, I want to play it, but my heart feels like no. But the reason why I say yes and why it's still in my backlog is because there could be that one random day
Yeah,
where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a go.
that's the hoarding mentality. It's not the collector mentality. Like
Yeah,
these are collectibles behind me,
yeah,
you know. But I don't have like my room's not flooded with just crap.
yeah.
My digital library is flooded with crap. I have
True.
well over 400 titles in my digital library, and I've probably played a third of them.
No, I don't have that many, so that makes me feel a little
But
better.
again, a lot of that is PlayStation Plus free games.
That is true. Okay, so I will say that there is a small
There
chunk,
is a small chunk.
20%,
Yeah,
that is just I downloaded it because it was
exactly.
free.
It was free. I downloaded it. And then there's like the oddball games like Oddworld, where I won't even add them to my library if they're free. Um, but no, there are games like Shadow of War that have every voice actor that I love in them. Like it has almost, I'm pretty sure, the entire cast of Critical Role in Shadow
Mhm.
of War. I'd probably never play it. I want to
Yeah.
so bad, but I can't let it go. Like in the back of my head, I'm like, I'll need that one day. And that's what hoarders are like. They're like you walk into their house and it's just like flooded with just shit and trash, and they're like, why do you have a box of hot pockets from the 50s? And they're like, you never know. And that's like their answer is you never know. I might need it.
I'm only laughing because I have that same mentality.
Like
And I was like,
that's 100%
there
where my
needs to
brain's
be
at when
like
it comes to games.
there needs to be like a show called like Video Game Hoarders, where just
Yeah.
some person comes in and it's just like, you need to clean your hard drive right now.
Right now. You
They're all-
don't need this. You're
They're all,
not
like,
going to play
crying.
Skyrim anymore.
I'm like crying as I delete all my
Yeah.
Assassin's Creeds.
Yeah, that's it. It's like I have literally every single Assassin's Creed game now.
Oh yeah, I bought the Ezio trilogy. Why? I don't
yeah.
know. I'm never gonna play.
I'm never going to play them. But part of my brain's like, one day, I might go back and see what Ezio was up to. Maybe. I'll never do it.
I mean, I love Brotherhood. It's
Yeah.
probably my favorite in the Assassin's Creed series, and I'm just like, I'm never gonna play
Never
that
gonna
game
play
again.
that game again. Nope, that's how it is. Like, there's so many games, man. Like the God of War trilogy. Like,
I mean, I actually might go replay a God of War trilogy if it ever came. Like they were released on like, PS5 or something. I'd probably play it again. That's my favorite game series. So like,
I mean, it's
like saying, Christian, are you gonna play like Ratchet and Clank again? Like, no, but probably.
Yeah.
but to that degree, Jack and Daxter is my favorite game series. I can't tell you how many times I've downloaded any one of those games and turned it on and been like, this is so nostalgic. Off.
How many times have you bought Skyrim?
As many as everybody else has. Actually, less because I didn't buy the Switch version. However, I've thought about it. Because part of me, and again, this is the stupid like hoarder mentality of like, I might want to do that one day, where I'm like, I see like, the character wearing like Link's outfit, holding the Hyrule shield and the Master Sword, and I'm like, that could be a really interesting gameplay aspect, and I might want to do that one day. I should probably buy that.
I never finished Skyrim. Never beat it. And it's an easy campaign. I probably could, but just
Super
like,
easy campaign.
it's one of those things where it's like I've become a little bit OCD or ADD or whatever you want to call it about being a completionist, and there's too many things to do in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most open world games, like if I know I'm gonna enjoy it, I even if it's like the campaign is 20 to 30 hours, but it's gonna take you 60 hours to do everything. I'm like, all right, well, it's a 60-hour game.
Yeah. Like if they're
yeah.
like the campaign's 45 hours long, I'm like, that's not how long the game is. How long is the game?
How long's the platinum?
Yeah,
how it
like,
was in
tell me
Assassin's
how long
Creed.
it takes to get everything,
Like
because
that,
that's how I'm judging it now.
outside of the glitch that literally stopped me from progressing in Valhalla, I feel like the game was really only like 50, maybe 60 hours long.
Yeah.
If you ran through the story, I feel like you could probably do it in about 60 hours.
60 if you were like
Because if
if
you
you were
really think about it, like
I'm talking about you're just trucking from mission to
yeah, we're
mission.
just trucking mission to mission. You only spent what, like 100 hours in the game?
yeah, it's just
So I think there was a solid 40 hours of BS side quests in that game.
I mean, there was, and you can fly through those side quests really quickly, but the main story takes you through most of those territories. I mean, you might be able to do it in 60 hours.
I think if you don't
Yeah.
do any of the side quests and just barrel through story, it's like a 60 to 70 hour game.
Yeah, you might be right.
But I spent 150. There were mitigating circumstances there, but
Well, random thought to end the show here, guys. I saw a bumper sticker on the way to work today that said "Eat more possum," and I didn't know you could eat possum. And the only other time I've ever heard anyone talk about eating possum before was we told, like, if you're gonna cook something with possum, that you cook it all, then you throw the possum meat out and eat the rest, because possum meat is disgusting. But apparently, eating possum is becoming a trend. Would you
Is it
guys
like
eat
an
possum?
innuendo, or is it?
yeah, I was like, does that stand for something else?
No, like actual, like, possum, like the animal.
Roadkill.
Roadkill.
Interesting. I mean, like I know the like hick mentality of like, if you accidentally kill something on the road, just throw it in the trunk and it's your dinner now. But like, I don't
Like,
think
if somebody was like, "Hey man, I got some possum pizza for you,"
I'd be like, I'm not eating that.
Yeah, I'd pass. A hard
you eat
pass.
possum pizza?
Hard pass.
No, not even if it was like deep fried.
What if it-
However, I mean, while we're on the topic of
To be
disgusting
fair, I want to be
stuff,
clear. I'm not advocating this. I wouldn't either. But like, I prosed it to some people that I work with, and they were open to the idea of eating possum. Like, they didn't say that they would actively seek it out, but like, if somebody gave it to them, they would try it.
yeah. So I mean, speaking of things that like I would never try, that I guess some people like your coworkers would, was Ashley, was out on her field excursion this past summer,
Mhm.
and was given the option to try oh my God, what's it called, mountain oysters?
Is it
Bull
bull
testicles?
Yes, so it's
Yeah,
fried
Rocky
bull
Mountain oysters.
testicles.
Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yes, and she
Yeah.
freaking tried it. I was like, that is disgusting. I'm not kissing you for at
It's-
least like a couple weeks.
Tune in
until
next week, guys, to find out how the divorce trial went.
It's a delicacy in like Colorado.
It's the yeah, mm.
Yeah.
It made me want to like it. I had like a reflex just hearing that she said that she ate it.
Yeah, my coworker said they would eat possum, so I guess maybe they would eat Rocky Mountain oysters. They also said they would try panda and bear.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that, obviously the conversation didn't end with possum.
Well, see, that's weird though, because like I feel like the idea of eating a panda or eating a bear sounds more appealing than eating a possum.
You
to
eat a
me.
panda?
Panda Express.
That's not actual panda.
Oh,
That's not actual panda you're eating.
Anyway,
I feel like that's part of the marketing there.
that was a good random thought to end on, Tim.
I just want to know if you'd eat possum. That's all.
No.
I mean, Christian talked about blending pizza last week. I thought we should just end on another random note.
Yeah, I like where your head's at, man. We should make this a regular thing.
I agree. Every week we should just end on the most completely random off-topic note. Anyway, with that being said, that's going to wrap up our episode this week. Thanks for listening to Some Kind of Podcast. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at SKO Entertainers, or visit our website, www.skoentertainment.net, for more information. Also, check out our Twitch channel for Some Kind of Entertainment, where we play games occasionally. And finally, don't forget to join us next week, because even on the best of days, we all need some kind of entertainment. Bye.
See ya.
See you guys.